Hey everybody, it's Bobby Galvez. I want to talk real quickly about an issue I've been having with my distributor. The issue has been oil has been coming up into the distributor body from the engine sump and just making a mess of things. It works its way up into the main chamber of the distributor. This one, of course, the breaker base plate is off, as is the rotor, but oil comes up in here, sprays all over the place and gets between the points, gets between the rotor and its contact points, and the engine runs rough to where it gets to where it just doesn't run at all. I've been chasing down what the cause of it might be, doing some research on a number of places, mostly on MG-Cars it's mg-cars.uk.org, the MG Enthusiasts website, which has a very active TDTF forum. Found some things there which pointed to some solutions. One of them in a document that Dave Dubois has shared, which was authored by a gentleman named Carl Cederstrand. One of the solutions it pointed to was a very early one, where what folks would do was, to get rid of the oil accumulating in here, was just drill a hole here in the distributor body and let it just leak out over the engine. Some folks started using a little tube to channel it down and away so that it wouldn't be such a mess, but that I felt is a stopgap, doesn't really address the issue of oil getting up there in the first place. And if oil is getting up there, it's still going to foul some things, even though it isn't puddling up. Another solution in that same document that some folks were using, let me zoom in and hope that I don't lose what little focus I have here, is this, of course, is the entire portion of the distributor body that sits inside the engine block. It goes down into the sump. One solution was to drill a hole in this channel here. The hole is about anywhere from 1/5 to 1/4 of an inch, and then a channel that's about 3/16 inch wide and about 1/1500 deep that would run down from there and just allow the oil, as it gets flung out of the distributor body by centrifugal flow, up against the inside of the tube where this sits and just flow down back into the sump. Again, I kind of felt this was a stopgap. Didn't speak with anybody who's actually had this done, so I wasn't too sure if that was going to work. Before going to the machine shop to have it done, I figured there was really nothing else to do. I went back into the archives and gave it one last look to see what else I could find. And I was able to find this document, or this post, by Butch Terrace on the subject of oil in the distributor. And it was posted some time back ago, sometime around 2007, 2008. And he spoke about excessive end float being really the main contributor to oil getting up into the distributor. So when I pulled mine, I measured the end float here. And the spec is for it to be 2/1000ths of an inch. Mine is at 48 1/1000ths, so it's way out of tolerance. I took a picture of this and sent it at the same time to both Butch Terrace and to Martin J., who's known as a distributor doctor over in the UK, who's also talked about the same thing, about the end float being the primary cause of oil working its way up into the distributor. And both of them pointed out immediately the same thing. I'm actually missing a little washer here, which provides makes up for part of the excessive clearance here. There's also another washer, which sits up here below all of the plate assembly for the mechanical advance mechanism. And between the two of them is what adjusts to the proper 2/1000ths clearance, which is supposed to be here. Of course, 2/1000ths of an inch is a very, very, very small gap, literally next to nothing. So that won't allow for very much oil to work its way in and eventually work its way up the shaft and into the chamber. So this one is going to be off for a rebuild, and that should address the issue. As I look at this, it's pretty easy to imagine how this, with its up and down movement, coupled with the turning of the shaft at higher RPMs, can, as engine speed changes, this rides up and down on the cam gear, and I can see how that would become a pretty effective little pump for the liquid. Another thing that happens is that as this drive gear changes position on the cam gear, because it's a helical shape, it also changes the geometry of the whole thing just enough that as engine speed varies, the timing changes. So we've got two problems. that are going to get solved by this. One, I was having rough running issues at higher RPMs, and this would serve to explain it, at least in part, and the other of the oil working its way up into the distributor. So there you have it. Hopefully for others that have been having this issue, this is a nice way to visualize how it is that gets caused, and an easy way to make a quick check of whether that actually is what might be causing it in other units. Thanks for your attention. See you soon. Bye-bye.